Indian Work partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to open the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. Now you can call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can also schedule a free COVID-19 vaccine at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds. Appointments are available for residents 16 years of age and older. Vaccines are available to certain residents of Hennepin, Ramsey, Anoka, and Dakota counties. Call the Minnesota American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986 to find out when you can get your free COVID-19 vaccination. Appointments are available April 16th through June 19th. Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986. That's 651-304-9986.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Showers and thunderstorms will continue through the evening hours with an overnight low of 42. Better day Wednesday, sunshine and a high of 62. Cafe Latte at Victoria Street and Grand Avenue in St. Paul provides an award-winning array of salads, sandwiches, and soups, treats from the bakery made fresh daily, and a pizza and wine bar. Check them out today at cafelatte.com.
Portions of
they are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakunjahade. As you know, my colonized name is Robert Pilot. That's how I sign checks and things like that.
Yeah, you'll be signing your tax return on Friday.
Oh, God. Hey, we discuss national and Twin City Native American news and events, and as you all know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. You can call them at 651-304-9986. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
It's funny, Wendy. This is kind of a time for me because of a busy day of working and coming to pause and listen to the news and listen to our guests. Mm-hmm. I want to, before we get to Ogama, who gives us the native-centric news for Turtle Island, I want to give Barry Hand a big shout-out, Wendy.
Yes.
We read something very, very emotional for me because I love Barry Hand.
Yeah.
And
we're glad he's doing well. That's what we
So
say.
he's 5 years in remission. And so we just want to give him a shout out.
Mm-hmm. Best wishes always.
Yeah. So let's get to the news with Ogama. Welcome, Ogama. Tell us your name and what tribe you're from, and and tell us some news.
Hi, Anim Bonjour, everybody. I'm Ogamaganua, which means strong golden eagle woman, and I'm from the Red Lake Nation in northern Minnesota. It is, I guess you could call it Water Protector Wednesday on Native Roots Radio. I've got some updates for you here on some upcoming events, and then we have two really awesome water protectors coming on tonight, Nancy Beaulieu and Nathan Wright, to give us updates from both Minnesota and Michigan. So happening tonight right after the show, if you are in the Park Rapids area, it's Salsa at Sunset, Tuesdays for the Water, hosted by Honor the Earth. They get everybody out on the street and they dance and play music and hold signs and just bring awareness to Stop Line 3. And they do the same thing on Wednesdays in Bemidji at the Paul and Babe from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. That event is also sponsored by Honor the Earth, and it's called Wednesdays for Waters Dance. So those happen every week. A new event that's coming up every week is going to be happening at the Wild Rice Protector Camp in Bagley, Minnesota. It's going to be Mondays for the Mississippi, which is hosted in conjunction with the Wild Rice Protection Camp and Honor the Earth. The first event is Monday, May 3rd at 5 p.m. It goes until 7:30 p.m. You can join everybody at the camp in Bagley. There'll be a meal provided, and then they're going to be caravanning to the Mississippi to listen to hand drum songs and talk about the water. All drummers and singers are welcome. Please remember to wear a mask and socially distance. In Line 5 events happening tonight at 6:15 is the Battle Over Line 5 Goes International. This is an event put together by Great Lakes Now and Detroit Public Television. They're going to have journalists from key areas in the region and on the Great Lakes Now team get your questions answered about what's going on with this international conflict when it comes to Line 5 going underneath the Straits of Mackinac in Michigan. So I'm sure once we're done with the show here at 7, I'm sure you could catch a replay of that online. Coming up on Saturday, May 1st, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Duluth, there's an event by Camp McGizzy and Duluth Youth for Climate Justice. They are meeting at the corner of Lake Avenue and Superior Street in Duluth to unite and show solidarity between the many struggles. Snacks are available, social distance, and as always, masks are required. Coming up on Monday, May 3rd from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. is an online event called Green Jobs for All Training. It's hosted by MN350, and it's to come learn about the Green New Deal campaign that MN350 is running. And they're reaching out to Minneapolis businesses impacted by the 2020 uprising and wanting to connect them to really energy efficient programs for upgrading their buildings and collecting their stories. So that would be a really good place to start if you're looking to upgrade, maybe even if you're not from Minneapolis, it'd be worth checking out. You can go to mn350.org/events to find that link. Again, it's called Green Jobs for All, and it is 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. on Monday, May 3rd. Backtracking just a little bit here in Chicago, there will be an MMIW event on Saturday, May 1st from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the River Trail Nature Center, which is located at 3120 Milwaukee Avenue in Northbrook, Illinois. This event is to raise awareness about missing and murdered Indigenous women and relatives in the U.S. and Canada. It is in conjunction with the resolution passed by Congress to declare the upcoming day, May 5th, as the National Day of Awareness for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. The event is sponsored in partnership with the American Indian Center of Chicago, the American Indian Health Services of Chicago, the Native American Chamber of Commerce of Illinois, and St. Kettering Center and Forest Preserves. For more info on where to register and the event program, check out Native Roots Radio or any of the sponsors I just mentioned. Their pages will have that as well. Couple more events. There's a ton of stuff going on, guys. Bear with me here. You want to mark your calendars from upcoming events. On May 9th, there's going to be an event called Mayday, Mayday for Mother Earth. That one is at the Welcome Water Protectors Center at Great River and is hosted by Honor the Earth and StopLine3.org. It's from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And what they are going to do is Anishinaabe women water protectors and allies are going to paddle on the Mississippi River in prayer and to protect the water and defend the land. It is a family-friendly group paddle to amplify the Indigenous-led movement to Stop Line 3. You can RSVP to the event by going to the event page, Mayday, Mayday for Mother Earth, which we will also share on the Native Roots Radio page. And I'm sure that Nathan Wright, our guest coming up here around 6:30, is going to mention this event. But on May 13th in Mackinac City, Michigan, there is going to be an event for the Enbridge eviction date. If you don't already know, the governor of Michigan has evicted Enbridge effectively and asked them to shut down Line 5 under the Straits of Mackinac on May 13th. So this event is to bring people to that bridge and to, show in solidarity. You can expect to join from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., but more details on the exact plans will be shared before the event. So make sure you sign up for that event at oilandwaterdon'tmix/events, and you can pull that up to get signed up for it. In news on the no dabble front, U.S. District Judge James Boasberg held a hearing earlier this month to give the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers an opportunity to explain whether or not they think oil should continue to flow during the new environmental study. And the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers kind of surprised Judge Boasberg and basically shrugged their shoulders. And they said that they don't know whether or not that should happen. So the judge gave them until May 3rd to tell them that. And just a quick update here on COVID-19. The Bemidji area in Minnesota was listed as a high area for COVID-19. So make sure you are all masking up and taking care of your relatives by wearing a mask, washing your hands, and getting vaccinated as soon as you can. Robert, do you have anything to add to that?
No, we have a soft opening for our store on Native Roots Radio. We have those Resist shirts on sale. I wanted to say that, and I wanted to also give everyone a quick shout out.
I need a new one. I'm going in and buying one.
Hey, and I also want to give a quick shout out to all our Patreon people. We would not be on the air if it wasn't for their support, and so we'll be also giving you a 25% discount to our Patreon people on things. So we're really excited, and Pinigigi, for all you do, Ogama, appreciate the news to start us off in a good way. You're listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and up next, Nancy Beaulieu of Rise Coalition in Bemidji 350. We'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us. Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
I heard sex trafficking happens a lot in Indian country. What is that?
Here are some of the real reasons why sex trafficking happens in Indian country. Unequal gender roles that were forced on us by colonization. Communities don't have enough resources. Silence around domestic and sexual violence. Lack of attention and justice for missing and murdered Indigenous people. There's a lot of behavior that keeps our communities out of balance. These are just a few true reasons why Native communities are targeted by traffickers. When these acts of violence happen in our communities, it opens us all up for exploitation.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
If you're hurting in your relationship or have been affected by sexual violence, you're not alone. Strong Hearts Native Helpline can help you through these difficult and uncertain times. Strong Hearts Helpline is a free 24/7 confidential domestic dating and sexual violence helpline for Native Americans. Help is available by calling 1-844-762-8483 or by clicking on the Chat Now icon on strongheartshelpline.org. This message is sponsored by the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center.
This is Winona LaDuke of Honor the Earth, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. I'm awake.
We are the Calusa Nation.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. You can call them at 651-304-9986. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And you don't need to live in the Twin Cities or Minnesota to call them.
Right. Hey, in today's Pipeline Day, and we have Nancy Beaulieu of Bimi'ji, 350 Rise Coalition, and former co-host of Rock the Vote Native Style. Welcome, Nancy Beaulieu.
Well, bonjour from northern Minnesota. Well, you know, it's kind of spring here today, Robert, so I spent a lot of my day on the back deck working to, you know, protect the earth in the future. And I was thinking out loud, you know, how we need to get more people here. So I want to remind people before we get started here to save the date. And we are going to gather on June 5th through 8th. And what we need to do is gather as treaty people to stop Line 3. So we're calling on all of our relatives and allies from across Turtle Island to stand in solidarity. So, you know, in these last couple of weeks, we've been planning and discussing what the name should look like, how do we hold this space together. And what we do know that, you know, treaties protect all of us. So we want to educate people on what it looks like to be a treaty partner and how do we uphold those treaties to protect the sacred and making sure that we have a future, you know, ahead of us here, because on this trajectory we're not doing so well. So I just want to say let's be Minnesota strong and protect our beautiful state, because we all depend on clean water, regardless if we're native or non-native. Even our business owners, we talked about this before, Robert, you know, we talk about livelihoods, and we have to remember that the state of Minnesota counts on tourism, and our businesses along every stretch of Minnesota needs clean water to operate. So we need to start putting Minnesota first and start recognizing that treaties do exist. And I think this event that we're planning looking forward is a great way for our people to come and join us. And it's a whole, you know, 4 days of action-packed peacefully, and there are actions that are going to be taken, but there's going to also be culture. We're going to share that with people, and how do we show up as a non-native person to protect the sacred through our treaty obligations. So we're really looking forward to that, Robert, and I know you and Wendy will be here for 4 days, right?
I know I will, but we have an old cat that might need to be babysat. I don't know, Wendy.
We'll have to send Robert up on his own.
Yeah, we'll send him back in kind of raggedy, but it'll be all worth it. He'll come back and feeling so inspired, and you guys might just move up north because it's so beautiful here, and this is what we're protecting is, you know, the blueberries and the monoman and the water and all those good things. So I heard Ogama mention the Mondays for the Mississippi. We're excited about that too, and I think, you know, we get more and more people out to the site. It is actually near Poseida, Minnesota, the LaSalle State Park area. It's really, really close to the park, and the Mississippi Bridge is between Elida, Minnesota, and Poseida, Minnesota. So it's about a 15-minute drive from camp, the Monoman Protector Camp in White Earth. And so we're going to start off with a supper, and we're going to caravan down to the bridge and I think hold space in a really powerful kind of way. So we're calling on our relatives to join us, and we'll feed you before we start singing and holding space together. So those are on Mondays, and you can meet us at the Water Protector Camp in Menomin, and those details are on plenty of websites. So make sure you mark your calendars on Mondays. It doesn't have to be every Monday, but if you have a free Monday, come and find out what this movement is about, or just come because you care. We invite everybody.
Nancy, can I get you, because we're live in Madison and Chicago, can I get you just to tell our audience basically the fight of Line 3 and real quick to get people caught up that might not have heard you or heard about this?
Sure. Tar sands pipeline, and it is actually a relocation. They say it is a replacement project, but it's actually tearing through new territory here in the 1855. And what we're trying to do is stop this pipeline because we know that White Earth and Red Lake and Mille Lacs and still have to have their day in court, and that's looking like this summer that will take place. But in the meantime, Governor Walz of Minnesota gave the green light to Enbridge to start this project even before the tribes have their say. So consulting is not consent, and we feel, that the governor has let us down because his own executive order 1924, the government-to-government relationship. So this is why we're opposing this decision, because it threatens our existence, it threatens our culture, and no more pipelines are needed. This pipeline is equivalent to 50 new coal plants, and that's what's making it really difficult. So we have to come and stand in solidarity and bring attention to why we need to stop this pipeline. And Line 3 is a threat not only to the water but to our communities in regards to the missing, murdered Indigenous women. Enbridge is allowed to put into an escrow fund to, turn our police officers into oil mercenaries. We have battered women shelters that are spending more money than their budget allows. So Enbridge is actually having to pay back some of these shelters to help our victims of these predators that are coming here from out of state. So Line 3 is ugly tar sands, and they sink to the bottom if there should be a pipeline leak, and it's very, very difficult to clean up. So we're just trying to save the future, Robert, and Line 3 is threatening everything about that.
It is. And Nancy, the pipeline that's already in there, they're not taking it out and replacing it like you said. They're just leaving it in there. And I heard that they're just leaving it. It is disintegrating, and it was originally built in 1960.
Right, and there's so many anomalies in there. Basically, what they did at the PUC hearings was, basically, if you don't let us replace or actually relocate this line, because I hate to use that word replacement, it's so so many people get confused by that. But basically, they said if you don't let us replace this line, it's gonna have a big oil spill here, and y'all don't want that, do you? So basically, it was a Sophie's choice. If you don't give us that pipeline, this new route, this old aging pipeline that we say is safe, is ready to have a big oil spill. And so Enbridge actually, they lie, and they continue to lie. And, that's not healthy for our communities because, with those false advertisements that are out there, they're misleading the community that this is one of the safest pipelines out there and that Enbridge is reliable and trustworthy. And we know by their spill record and some of the things that we hear, like they have tribal approval. They don't have tribal approval. If that was the case, White Earth and Red Lake and Mille Lacs still wouldn't be waiting for their day in court, and we wouldn't be on the front lines. So, it was just yesterday, we stood with some other coalitions giving Governor Walz's report card, and it was a press release, and I was one of the people that got to speak, and honestly, I gave the governor an F because of his failure to consult with the tribes and his own executive order 1924 He failed that. He failed his campaign promise to say there was going to be no Line 3 here. And I believe he's just another man in the soup that, that is being dishonest about having a good relationship with our tribal nations to move us forward in a sustainable, equitable kind of way. And that's disturbing, especially as we see 2022 midterms right around the corner here.
Right. Well, Nancy, I want to let our audience know too that do not know who you are. You were helping up in the deep north or the occupied north, like what we'd like to talk about in Minnesota, and helping with enrolling 9,000 new voters. And so when we have politicians come up to us, Native Americans, and want our vote and then disappear, we have to put them on notice. And so I appreciate you bringing that up big time. And also want to say that, we can do it again. We can get 9,000 more people to vote for a new governor.
Right. And, I'm glad you're talking about this, too, because what I have in my notes here is to encourage our like-minded relatives and our allies to step it up and run for midterm elections in 2022, because it's going to be time to campaign here soon. And there are, like Minnesota 350 Action, that's our political leg that endorse like-minded candidates and will help these people win their campaigns. But at the same time, our work isn't done once the election is over. We do have to hold their feet to the fire. We need them to amplify our voice, to pass legislation, and, most importantly, step out of their comfort zone so we can see change happen. So I'm excited about what 2022 is going to bring, and I feel that energy already is starting to come alive, Robert, because registering our people to vote is really powerful. But first and foremost, what we need to do, and I think we're going to do a little bit more of this with the Native Peoples Caucus of the Minnesota DFL, is build on relationships within our communities, a collective people power where it's just not our vote anymore, and they run with it. We want to be part of the continued dialogue and decision-making process. And so our work is never done when election is over. It's just begun, Robert. And I think we're going to find healthy ways where we can build those type of relationships and hold our feet to the fire. And if not, we just keep rocking that vote and finding like-minded candidates. So I think, what the report that the governor got yesterday, it was not very good at all, Robert. And there was like 17 coalitions that graded him. And, what we do see is that there is time to change his way and be more progressive. And when it comes to, a green future and a future that is inclusive of our BIPOC communities and our, especially our tribal nations under our treaty obligations. And, like I told the Native Peoples Caucus of the Minnesota DFL, well, if it doesn't work, if he doesn't listen and he just continues to ignore us, well, we can just rock that vote 2022, and hopefully we'll find that candidate to, run and do right by all of us, because that's the fair thing to do.
Thank you, Nancy, for all you do. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and that was Nancy Beaulieu of Bimi'ji 350. We'll be right back.
Stay with us.
Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
All across the nation, we are here for our communities.
We're doing our part to get supplies where it's needed in order to fight COVID-19 together.
Got to do what we got to do, helping the people that did lose their jobs and lost their income, and now they don't have money for their food.
It feels good to be out there to assist our community with what we're dealing with. It's what you sign up for as a soldier.
We will not rest until the mission is complete.
Each one of these soldiers, once they received the call, they understood that all hands were on deck. This goes to the core of what citizen soldiers do.
We are your Army National Guard.
I would like our friends and family to know that your National Guardsmen are always ready and always there.
Always ready, always there. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Army National Guard, aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hello, Minneapolis. It's Randy Rhodes on your radio in the heart of the Midwest every weeknight from 10 to midnight on AM 950.
The Department of Indian Work partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to open the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. Now you can call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can also schedule a free COVID-19 vaccine at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds. Appointments are available for residents 16 years of age and older. Vaccines are available to certain residents of Hennepin, Ramsey, Anoka, and Dakota counties. Call the Minnesota American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986 to find out when you can get your free COVID-19 vaccination. Appointments are available April 16th through June 19th. Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986. That's 651-304-9986.
Hi, my name is Frank Brown, owner of Minuteman Press Uptown. We're not just another print shop. We give back to the community and stand up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Press Uptown, we understand Black Lives Matter and know love is love. We're the only minority-owned and proud union shop in the state. We're community involved and have over 100 years of industry experience. We believe our employees are vital to our success. That's why we pay a living wage with benefits.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I chose Minuteman Press because they match the values of our business. Their design team took our vision and idea and turned them into a beautiful, professional printed marketing piece on time as promised. They can help your business, nonprofit, or political campaign with printing, direct mail, signs, or other promotional needs that will help grow your organization. Call the printing company AM 950 Trust, Minuteman Press Uptown at 612-870-0777 or find them online at mpuptown.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Showers and thunderstorms will continue through the evening hours with an overnight low of 42. Better day Wednesday, sunshine and a high of 62. Cafe Latte at Victoria Street and Grand Avenue in St. Paul provides an award-winning array of salads, sandwiches, and soups, treats from the bakery made fresh daily, and a pizza and wine bar. Check them out today at cafelatte.com.
Hey, welcome back. Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade.
This portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice, and the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, we're really happy. Tuesdays, I was corrected because I guess
we all thought,
I thought it was Wednesday.
I thought it was Wednesday. That's what happens when you're retired, right?
Or old like me.
Old, yeah.
But hey, we have Nathan Wright, and he's become a regular, and he's the founder of Heart of the Turtle and Stopping Line 5 in Michigan. And so we want to get an update because we've expanded our, we're getting people listening to us in Madison and in Chicago. And so we're expanding. And so we think it's really important to have Nathan on and give us updates of what's happening on his neck of Turtle Island. Welcome, Nathan.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Thank you for having me.
Right on. So what do we have going on? Can you give us an update? What's happening in Line 5? And then maybe you can tell a little people, just a little background of what Line 5 is, so to our new listeners too.
Sure, absolutely. Well, we could start there, I guess. So Line 5 is a pipeline that comes from Canada, goes through, the majority of it goes through Michigan, the Upper Peninsula, and then Lower Michigan, and then it exits back into Canada. So it's literally, in essence, a shortcut for Enbridge. We get propane from it, but it's like something like less than 3%. The numbers are skewed, like, Enbridge likes to think it's big numbers, but it's a very tiny amount. There's been studies done that if we got rid of the pipeline totally, which is what we want as water protectors, that no, you wouldn't notice really a difference in cost. Like cost would not increase that much, like maybe, 15 cents or something like that. Nothing that's really substantial to the greater reward is that we protect our lakes. We have a 67-year-old pipeline in there. That's how long it's been there for. It's never been replaced. The focus over the last 6-7 years has been just the Straits area. A gentleman brought this to our attention that was indigenous. It was probably about 7 years ago, and so that's been the focus. Remove this part, but what they want to do is encase it in a tunnel now. So the pipeline is there. They want to put a tunnel in it, and that's kind of what Enbridge is doing, more for show, because if you think about it, the whole pipeline has to be replaced. So since they were busted on this, they were caught on this one section, that's their focus. We want it out. We want the whole thing out. And last fall, I believe it was, the governor of Michigan found a way to get them out and gave them till May 12th. That's when they have an eviction notice. They're supposed to be out. But of course, as we would expect with Enbridge, they have court cases pending. And so that's where we're at right now with the whole gamut of Enbridge and its existence. So it's a very similar situation to Line 3, except we have the pipeline is already there. So it's a little different in the way that we have to deal with it. A lot of the way we have to deal with things are through actions to bring public awareness to it. And we're competing with Enbridge, who has millions of dollars they spent on advertising. They're running Facebook ads here. They're bringing up all these things that really have very little to do with what they're actually doing and how they actually benefit. So basically, anything to do with oil and gas is what they stretch into. Like, we're helping small businesses by having them have the ability to drive to work. They're really stretching it. So that's it in a nutshell.
Well, I know, we're water protectors just as of Standing Rock, and that's why we have a radio show, is because we couldn't believe all the misinformation that was coming out during Standing Rock and the No DAPL fight. And so we've kept on fighting, Wendy and I, and then Ogama. And one of the things, the misinformation is just unbelievable. I mean, when we look at hockey tournaments, basketball tournaments, it's like sunshine and rainbows, that Enbridge is our great neighbor. But we know they're going to have 5,000 people digging up in the deep north of Minnesota. And we know that 60% of them are not Minnesotans. We know once this pipeline's done that you're going to have 4 or 5 full-time employees. So this charade of helping the community, and basically we have people that are saving their money that are up north are living in homeless shelters that should be for homeless people, that instead of paying rent. And it's just atrocious.
Absolutely. Here, even the tunnel itself, they have 2 different vendors that they're looking at right now. One is, I think, down in Alabama, and the other is a Japanese company. And they've already expressed concern that the cost for the tunnel is skyrocketed compared to when they did the original analysis 3 years ago. So these jobs that they were talking about, that they were promising to everybody in Michigan, are now, the tunnel jobs are gone. It's either going to be Alabama or Japan. And they've already admitted it rose. So they're going to look for the cheapest company. And who knows, there might even be a cheaper company from another country that might come in and come to play. So yeah, totally the same thing here. They like to hype things up, make promises, and then break them.
Well, we know we have to always remind that, and Winona LaDuke talks about this a lot on our show, is that they're a foreign company that our government supporting and gearing up militarized police for a foreign country.
Absolutely. And in Standing Rock's case, and against indigenous people, as well as here as well. It just doesn't make any sense. And when they put that pipeline in here back in 1953, none of the tribes were consulted with. There was nothing. And we feel we have a say-so because of our treaty rights, the 1836 treaty, which we fish in that very area, the Straits. I fished there before. And it's also not far from one of our most spiritual locations, which is Michilimackinac, which is Mackinac Island. In our creation stories, That is where, after the Great Flood, where everything began. So this is like, to people that, to put things in perspective, it's like our Jerusalem. It's like our Holy Land. And we could see it right from the shores of where the pipeline goes in. It's about 3 miles away.
Yeah, and I mean that's a good point, and we all have to be. It's so important to have you on the show because we have so many people that support this that need to know this information, and that Enbridge is a sneaky company, and they're doing the exact same game plan playbook in Michigan as they are in Minnesota.
Yes, absolutely. We have a lot of common bonds, and actually, there's been people from here that have went out and helped. I was, of course, over in Standing Rock, but even just with this recent Line 3, we've had people that have helped us here that are out there that are now coming back to help us again. So, such wonderful people that are dedicated and committed to this cause. So yeah, partnering up and helping each other out, sharing each other resources, or even just knowledge, is very beneficial.
Yeah, the knowledge is really huge, Wendy.
It is, and like you said before, Enbridge, they'll keep things held up in the court, so they keep things moving along, and they, like you said, they're very, very sneaky. Yeah.
Yeah, keep it up in the court, and then it's in court, we have to remind everyone they're still tearing up and digging and tearing down all these trees with all these beautiful our relatives living in the trees and in the ground. We talk about that a lot, Nathan. It's sickening, but it's great. I think the positive thing is that we have this show and that we can amplify your voice.
Yes,
we appreciate did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in on the legal aspect of it to remind you that Enbridge will do and say whatever they need to do to try to get their pipeline through. A key difference between what Enbridge is doing in Minnesota and what they're doing in Michigan is that in Michigan, the governor did the opposite of what Walz did here and said, I want this shut down and out of the Straits of Mackinac. You are not in compliance with what you said you were going to do to keep that safe for our state, and I want it out. And Enbridge is fighting them in court right now to have the decision on whether or not their pipeline can be shut down move to a federal level. Whereas in Minnesota, they've completely agreed, because Walz agreed, that it's no problem that the governor can make that decision for the state. So they'll play it any way that they can.
Right, and I appreciate. Yeah, right, Nathan. That's a really good point. Really good update. We got like 50 seconds. Is there any update we can support you with? Any action happening?
Sure.
Any website go to?
Sure. We have an event coming up May 12th and 13th. It's an eviction notice. The first day is going to be ceremonies on the 12th, and we're going to just welcoming people are going to do ceremonies on that day. We might have some talks and everything. So if you come for that day too. That's going to start in the morning time. The next day is going to be the actual action where we do the eviction notice. Right now, we're not mentioning exactly where, but if you go to Oil and Water Don't Mix and you go to their events page and register, we'll send you exact information where that's going to be located. We're also going to do some traditions on the waterfront, have some dancers there, have some people that are doing some water ceremonies, as well as some other revived traditions that haven't been done in a long time. And then at about 2 p.m., we're putting together a music and talks at a park. But we're working on the details of that. We don't have that solidified just yet. But if you go to MackinawOde, MackinawOde on Facebook, you'll find us, and we'll have more information there for you.
Wow. Thank you, Nathan Gigi, for coming on. Nathan, the water protector and founder of Heart of the Turtle to Stop Line 5 in Michigan. This is really a great update, and good luck, and keep us informed, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Oh.
Yes. Miigwech. Thank you. Bamapi.
All right. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and up next, Wendy, we're talking sacred animals.
We are. Stay with us. The Department of Indian Work partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to open the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. Now you can call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
You can also schedule a free COVID-19 vaccine at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds. Appointments are available for residents 16 years of age and older. Vaccines are available to certain residents of Hennepin, Ramsey, Anoka, and Dakota counties. Call the Minnesota American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986 to find out when you can get your free COVID-19 vaccination. Appointments are available April 16th through June 19th. Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986. That's 651-304-9986.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
We are the Calusa Nation.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Wow, Ogama sounded good with her new Wi-Fi.
That's right. No crackles in that howl.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to give a shout out, and maybe you can look more into this tomorrow for tomorrow's news. But they at Mounds Park in St. Paul, they have a new dedication and a new sign, and they're calling it a native burial ground as opposed to like hills that you can just climb on and play with.
Yeah.
So, and they also mentioned the Ho Chunk Nation. So, I just want to give them a quick shout out, and then also. Wow, what a great guest to Ogama. We got to keep Nathan coming each week.
Yeah, Nancy and Nathan. They're
the
also,
NNN show.
Yeah, they're really good.
I'm telling you, Water Warrior Wednesday.
But it's
Tuesday.
Why am I stuck on that? I don't know. We should move them to Wednesday.
One of our listeners corrected us.
Yeah, and thank you, because I thought it was Wednesday too. Yeah. I was hoping, wow. Hey, so Wendy, you're doing our sacred animals section here, which we love, and I want to introduce my awesome, beautiful wife, Wendy. It says that right here, Wendy. She is
I wrote it.
She is a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States. Tell us your name and what you're going to talk about today.
Okay, well, my name is Hanaji, and that means cares for them, and I was given that name by my Dega, Curtis. So as always, Curtis, thank you for that thoughtful name. So I'm walking around the neighborhood a lot lately, just walking the dogs every day. And I'm happy that all the springtime festivities are happening. All the flowers are coming up and, everything's looking green and looking really nice. And I'm watching out for our pollinators.
I used to be a flower child. Now I'm a blooming idiot. Oh, I had to use that one. Sorry.
I know you did. Tell me about it. So I was walking the dog, walking Wanda yesterday. It was kind of drizzly and rainy, but we still went out. But there was this guy out on the, what do you call that? The boulevard.
Yes.
And he was digging up all his dandelions.
Oh.
Yeah. So I kind of said, hey, how you doing and whatever. And I said, oh, did you know that the dandelions are the bees' first food? So when the bees come out of their hibernation, which is soon, hopefully we'll be seeing them soon. They have no food. They have nowhere to go. Save yourself some time and leave the dandelion. So he did. He was like, you're kidding, really? Okay, I won't do it anymore. I was like, awesome. So yeah, just leave the dandelions. I see a lot of companies also in trucks going around spraying lawns so they don't get dandelions and crabgrass. Is it crabgrass and dandelions the same thing?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. Well, really, but really, what's so bad about some dandelions and crabgrass? I don't
Well,
know.
I've really enjoyed No Mow May because that means I don't have to mow. And
Right.
also, you're looking to get Joe and his significant other to redo our front yard. And
Yep.
as soon as we measure that off, we're going to have a bee haven here.
We're going to get rid of our front lawn, so we're not going to have any more lawn, and we're going to make a pollinator big, like in the whole front yard, plus on the boulevard, flowers and plants that are good for bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds.
Yeah,
but
we love our hummingbirds. Did I tell you I used to be a flower child? No, I'm just kidding.
But I wanted to say something about the hummingbirds because our friend James Roberts sent me an article. And this really made me sad because I didn't realize this, and I might have been one of the people who've hurt some hummingbirds. So I wanted to spread the word. Yeah. So there's a picture of this little hummingbird, and it was unable to retract her tongue. So her tongue was sticking out, and she couldn't get it back in her mouth. And this happens to hummingbirds quite often, and it's a sign of a fungal spores that germinate on their tongue or in their gullets. And it's caused by people putting anything other than just plain sugar. Plain white sugar and water. That's all you should be using.
That's not what you use?
I do, but some people will add honey to it or like other sweeteners to it. And that's what causes the problems with the hummingbirds. The fungus spores gets on their tongue. The tongue goes out, and then it gets stuck out, and it can't go back in, and then the poor things die. And it also says here that please only use plain white sugar in your mixture of 1 part sugar and 4 parts of water. That's what you have to do. But the thing that you also have to do is not use any red dye. That's really important. Just use a plain, clean glass container for the hummingbirds, and you need to change it every couple of days. You can't let it sit there because it ferments. It ferments, and once it ferments, it could also cause those fungus spores on the tongue of the hummingbird and kill the hummingbird.
So you're going to make a bunch up and then have it in the fridge?
No, I'm going to make it up every couple of days. It doesn't take much time to get 1 cup of sugar and 4 cups of water and boil it on the stove. You let it cool. You put it out there. And in 2 days, you take it out, you rinse the container, and you do it again. It doesn't take that much time to do it, but it is a commitment. And if you want to do it, you have to do it that way, or else you're going to be killing hummingbirds, which I didn't know because I did leave the water out.
All year?
Well, I cleaned it and brought it in, but it was like, know.
Oh no, yeah.
I didn't do it often enough, and I had no idea that these little hummingbirds needed fresh sugar water because it mostly resembles the flowers that they get the nectar from.
Right, and we had, and I always forget how amazing it is because we live close to the Mississippi River, so we see a lot of wildlife in our house, but I forgot until we had some people over at our house and saw the hummingbird in our backyard and how freaked out and how not often people do see the hummingbird.
Well, she said she never saw one in real life. She's seen them in pictures and on TV and on the internet and whatever, but she never saw one with her own very own eyes, and she really did freak out. And they are beautiful little birds. And they are our sacred birds, and they are pollinators, and we really need them just as much as we need the bees, because without the bees and the pollinators, we're not going to have plants. We're not going to have food.
I like one time you on the show a couple of weeks ago, you'd had some trivia about hummingbirds, and one was they don't land. Or they don't walk, they don't have feet, and then they go backwards. Or there was a couple really cool.
Yeah, they were kind of funny ones.
Do you remember
them? That they don't. They hop. They could hop back and forth, but they can't walk. I'd have to get out my little notes here.
They can't play poker.
They can't play poker.
There's things that they can't do that I was amazed. Yeah. And when you think about it, you go, oh yeah, they could only go backwards. They couldn't But yeah, so that's really good information. And
yeah, just keep that clean. Use a
no mow Monday.
no mow May, depending on where you
It's
live
Wednesday.
in the
No, it's
United
Tuesday.
States, where you live in the United States, because we didn't mow last
Yeah.
year till June, and we got a lot of milkweed.
Right, and we were wondering why we weren't getting any milkweed, and we were mowing it over for years.
Right.
It's like, why don't we planted milkweed? Why don't we have, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a good idea, and it's reasonable, and there's a lot of things coming up, and also, like you said, the dandelions, you know,
Yeah, people think that they're weeds, but people eat them. You could make a salad with them. There's
some people drink wine, dandelion
I
wine.
can make some dandelion wine.
Easy.
Just make sure a dog didn't pee on them. That's all.
You can wash them first, right? No, I don't know.
I don't know, but we need to take care of our pollinators, no matter if they're bees or butterflies or hummingbirds.
So look at what Ogama just put up. Oh,
Yeah, the American lawn is the largest irrigated crop in the nation. So let your lawn grow and protect our pollinators. Grass is a lie and it doesn't help.
Exactly. I can't wait to get our lawn done. You won't have to mow, and we'll be saving the earth.
hey, I would like to end with these thoughts. If you've been listening to the show, you are part of the resistance. From Chief Plentycoops, the ground on which we stand on is sacred ground. It is the blood of our ancestors. We need to mask up, resist, divest, join a group, run for office. Peeny Gigi for our guest today. Just awesome guest on Tuesday.
Nancy and Nathan.
Thank you. The NNN. If you're listening to the show, you are part of the resistance. We're still here. We are the seventh generation.
Free Leonard Peltier. Stop line 3.
Do you believe in ghosts? Ever wondered if aliens from other planets visit the Earth? Have you ever thought about whether Bigfoot